It was just another scorching afternoon on a long stretch of highway when Daniel, a self-made millionaire, decided to take the road less traveled. Tired of boardrooms and fake smiles, he slipped away from his luxury lifestyle in search of something real. No cameras, no assistants, just him, the open road, and a beat-up old truck he hadn't driven in years. But what he didn't expect was that this simple drive would lead to a moment that would turn his entire world upside down. Just a few miles out of town, he spotted 3 girls walking along the roadside, dusty backpacks, sunburnt faces, and a look of determination in their eyes. They didn't look like the type asking for help, but something about them made Daniel pull over. Maybe it was the way they stuck together like sisters, or how the youngest one smiled despite the heat. Whatever it was, he asked if they needed a ride. What started as a quick favor turned into a conversation that kept going. Who were these girls? Why were they walking in the middle of nowhere? The answers, it turned out, were far more complicated than he ever imagined. As miles passed and the sun began to dip, their stories unfolded, each one more raw and heartbreaking than the last. But beneath the struggles, there was something else. A strange connection, a spark of hope, maybe even fate at play. Daniel found himself drawn into their lives in a way he never expected. And then something happened, something no one saw coming. This isn't just a story about money or chance encounters. It's about the choices we make, the people we meet, and how even the smallest act of kindness can change everything. But what happens next? You'll have to see for yourself. The truck rolled steadily down the empty highway as Daniel glanced in the rearview mirror. The girls sat quietly, each lost in thought. There was Emily, the oldest, maybe 20, with sharp eyes and a guarded expression. Beside her was Mia, quieter, holding a sketchbook in her lap, flipping through pages of drawings that hinted at a life far from peaceful. And then there was Lily, no older than 13, humming softly to herself, legs swinging as if they didn't just come from something heavy. Daniel didn't ask many questions at first. He figured they'd talk when they were ready. Instead, he offered water, snacks, and let the silence stretch. It didn't take long before Emily spoke up. They'd been traveling for days, she said, trying to reach someone in a nearby town. Their story was vague, parents gone, bouncing from place to place, trouble they didn't want to explain. Every answer felt half-finished, every detail just out of reach. But Daniel knew that look. He'd seen it in the mirror once, years ago, before the money, before the success. These girls were survivors. But then strange things started happening. The truck's radio flickered, cutting in and out with static that seemed timed to their words. Mia's drawings grew darker, filled with shadowy figures and roads that twisted in impossible directions. And Lily, once cheerful, began whispering things when she thought no one was listening, about someone following them, watching from a distance. Daniel wanted to believe this was just exhaustion playing tricks on all of them. But when a lone car appeared in the distance, headlights flashing, staying far enough behind to not be seen clearly, he knew this wasn't just a ride anymore. This was the start of something none of them were ready for, and turning back, no longer an option. Daniel tightened his grip on the steering wheel as the sun sank lower behind them, casting long shadows across the road. The car in the rear view hadn't changed distance. It was always there, always just far enough to avoid being fully seen. He tried to ignore it, but the silence in the truck had shifted. It wasn't just quiet now, it was thick, like everyone could feel something wasn't right. Mia stopped drawing. Her sketchbook was closed now, pressed tightly against her chest, like it was the only thing keeping her safe. Daniel glanced over and caught her staring out the window, her eyes tracking the tree line. Emily, always the protective one, leaned forward in her seat and finally asked what had been building between them all. "Do you think it's him?" That one question hit harder than anything so far. Daniel didn't ask who him was. The way she said it, the fear behind it. He knew enough to realize this wasn't just some stranger on the road. This was personal. Something, or someone, they were running from. And it wasn't over. Meanwhile, Lily had grown quiet. She no longer hummed or played with her necklace. She just stared out the window with that blank expression that made Daniel's chest tighten. She whispered something again, and this time Daniel heard it. He's getting closer. They pulled into a rundown gas station as the sky turned a bruised purple. Daniel went inside to pay, but when he came back, the truck door was open. Emily was gone. The younger girl sat frozen, eyes wide, and pointed toward the woods behind the building. She said she saw someone, Mia whispered. Daniel turned toward the dark trees. Nothing moved. No sound. But deep down he knew they weren't alone. And whatever was coming wasn't far behind. Daniel's heart pounded as he scanned the edge of the woods, barely able to see past the thick wall of trees. The air had shifted, colder now, heavy with something unspoken. He called out for Emily, but the only reply was the low buzz of a flickering gas station sign. Mia clutched Lily's hand in the backseat, her voice trembling. She said he was watching us. She felt it. The headlights of the mysterious car suddenly reappeared in the distance, this time turning into the same parking lot. It rolled in slowly, deliberately, its engine low and steady. Daniel stepped in front of the truck, shielding the girls as the car came to a full stop. No one got out. No window rolled down. It just sat there, humming like it had all the time in the world. The tension cracked like static in the air. Then, just as suddenly, the passenger door of the car opened, and someone stepped out. Not a man, not someone Daniel recognized, but a woman. Tall, calm, dressed in black. She didn't speak, but she looked right at the girls, right at Lily. And Lily, without hesitation, let go of Mia's hand and stepped down from the truck. Daniel shouted her name, but Lily just whispered, "I remember now." Mia jumped after her, grabbing her by the shoulders. "No, Lily, that's not her. That's not who you think it is." But Lily's eyes were different now, clearer, like something had snapped into place. The woman reached out, and Lily took a step forward. Daniel didn't know what was happening, but he could feel it. This was the moment everything hinged on. And in the thick, breathless silence that followed, one thing became painfully clear. Someone wasn't going to leave that parking lot the same. Just as Lily's fingers reached out toward the woman's hand, headlights flared from behind the gas station. Another car. This one came fast, tires crunching over gravel, slamming to a stop beside the pumps. A man jumped out, breathless, eyes darting across the lot until they landed on Lily. "Get away from her," he shouted, running toward the truck. The woman in black didn't flinch. She turned slowly, as if she'd been expecting him all along. Lily froze, her hand still outstretched. Mia yanked her back into the truck, slamming the door shut. Daniel stepped in front again, shielding them all, but now his mind was spinning. "Who are you?" he yelled to the man. "I'm her brother," the man shouted back, pointing at Lily. "They took her a year ago." "That woman, she's not who she looks like." Lily shook her head, confused, tears welling in her eyes. "But I remember her face." "No, you remember the story they made you believe," the man said, voice breaking. "They found kids like her, gave them new names, erased everything." The woman's calm broke for the first time. Her eyes narrowed. She took a step forward, and Daniel could feel it. This wasn't about a simple ride anymore. It never was. He looked at Lily, then at Mia, who was gripping the door handle like her life depended on it. Suddenly, from the trees behind them, more shapes moved. Not just one. 3, maybe more. Shadows. Quiet. Organized. Whoever this woman was, she wasn't working alone. Daniel's instincts screamed to run. But where? How? Everything was closing in. The road, the story, even the people he thought he could trust, it was all shifting. And now, nothing felt safe. Not the truck, not the road, not even the truth. The moment the shadows emerged from the woods, Daniel acted on instinct. He jumped into the driver's seat and yelled, "Hold on," slamming the truck into reverse. Gravel sprayed as the tires spun, then gripped. The truck shot backward, nearly clipping the mysterious woman, who didn't even flinch. She simply watched as they sped away, her expression unreadable. Lily was crying now, clinging to Mia, who looked back out the window in disbelief. The man claiming to be Lily's brother had climbed into his car, headlights bouncing behind them as he gave chase. Daniel's mind raced. None of this made sense. Why would anyone fake a family, erase a child's past, and then let her walk the highway? He turned onto a narrow backroad, trying to lose the woman's car, the shadows, and the storm of confusion behind them. Finally, after miles of silence, he pulled over near an abandoned diner, lit only by moonlight. They sat in the truck, catching their breath. The man pulled in slowly behind them. This time, he approached without shouting. He held out a photo, old, faded, but it showed Lily, younger, happier, in a birthday dress next to him. "She's my sister. Her name is Ava," he said gently. "She disappeared from our home 2 years ago. I've been looking ever since." Lily stared at the photo, something inside her shifting. "Ava," she whispered. "That sounds right." But just as the air began to settle, Daniel's phone, one he hadn't used in days, buzzed in his pocket. One new message. No number. Just 5 chilling words. Asterisk, "You picked the wrong side, asterisk." He looked up, heart pounding. No cars, no people, but somewhere out there, someone was still watching. And they weren't done yet. The message on Daniel's phone stayed burned into his mind, but nothing else happened that night. No cars returned, no more shadows in the trees, just silence. The man, Lily's brother, now sure she was Ava, sat with them for a long time outside the old diner. He told them everything. How Ava vanished after meeting a woman who claimed to help kids start over. How others in nearby towns had whispered about strange disappearances. Most gave up searching, he didn't. Lily, Ava, started to remember more the next morning. Small things. A birthday cake, a song her mom used to hum, the way her brother made paper animals to make her laugh. Slowly, the pieces came back. Mia, who had always acted like a sister, didn't cry. She smiled instead. "You'll always be Lily to me," she whispered. Emily returned too. She found her way back just before dawn, shaken but safe. She'd followed the woman out of fear, not trust. But the moment she realized it was a trap, she ran. The girls had been used, moved from place to place, their identities blurred to keep them from being found. But now that chain was broken. Daniel offered to drive them all back to town, to safety. On the road, the mood was quiet but lighter. The fear had faded, replaced by something else. Closure. When they reached the city limits, Ava's brother called the authorities. Help came, real help, and for the first time in a long while, there was hope. Before parting ways, Ava turned to Daniel. "Thank you for stopping that day," she said. "Everything changed because you did." As he drove off alone, the message still sat on his phone, but he wasn't afraid anymore. Sometimes a right road finds you, even if it starts with a detour.